Hello dear fans. What do you know about the Geghama Sea? For those planning to visit Armenia, experts strongly recommend visiting the vicinity of Lake Sevan. These places cannot be compared with anything in their beauty. The picturesque shores of Sevan, nicknamed the Geghama Sea for its enormous size, attract not only tourists, but also researchers of the history of ancient Armenia. Lake Sevan, Geghama Sea. The high mountainous Lake Sevan located in Armenia is often called the Geghama Sea. It is considered the largest lake in the Caucasus. Situated at an altitude of 1,900 meters, this freshwater storage has an area of about 1240 square kilometer. And the depth of the lake in some places exceeds 80 m. Almost 3 dozen rivers flow into Sevan. Only one river, Hrazdan, flows out of it, a tributary of the Arax. The basin in which Lake Sevan is located has a tectonic origin. This relict lake is one of the largest freshwater alpine water reservoirs. It spreads its calm waters in the center of the Armenian highlands. A huge bowl filled with water is framed by very picturesque mountain ranges. The Geghama Sea owes its birth to local volcanoes. About 250,000 years ago, the erupted lava formed a basin on the site of an ancient river. The resulting bowl was gradually filled with water that came down from the glaciers. The Geghama Sea is surrounded by mountains. Being a freshwater reservoir, Sevan is distinguished by the azure-blue color of the water surface. Sevan is rightfully considered the pearl of Armenia. The lake is famous for the numerous cultural monuments and recreational facilities located on its shores. There are valuable mineral springs near Sevan, clean air, beautiful nature. All this makes the surroundings of the lake a wonderful place for rest and recuperation. An artificial forest grows along the banks of the Sevan, in which pine and broadleaf trees are most often found. There are many types of fish in the waters of Sevan. Among them, barbel, Sevan Kermulia, Sevan trout. Historical monuments of Sevan. After lowering the water level in the lake, numerous archaeological finds were discovered in the area that opened. Some of them are at least 2,000 years old. There are artifacts that researchers attribute to the Bronze Age. Some of the discovered archaeological objects were transferred to museums in the capital of Armenia. The most famous cultural monuments of Sevan. Savanavank Monastery, Korvirap Monastery, Haravank Monastery, Theological Seminary. Korvirap Monastery is known far beyond Sevan. It was erected over the dungeon where the great Baptist of Armenia, Saint Gregory, languished in his time. This dungeon has survived to the present day. You can go down into it and even make a prayer there. Visitors to the temple are in awe of the high, smoky vaults and a small window in the form of a crack, located at a high altitude. The most famous of the historical monuments of Sevan is the Savanavank Monastery. It is located in the northwestern part of the lake, near the city of Sevan. The monastery was originally located on an island. But the water level dropped. An isthmus was formed, which connected the island to the land. Savanavank began to be built by monks in the distant 8th century. At first, walls and a chapel were erected, later a watchtower with a gate, 3 church buildings, cells, and household buildings appeared. It is known that the great Ashit the Iron lived for some time on the territory of the monastery in the 9th century, who gave a decisive battle to the Arab conquerors. The monks of Savanavank also took part in that battle at Sevan. Here, on the Sevan Peninsula, the Vazhginian Theological Seminary is located. It got its name in honor of Vazgen I, the Catholicos of all Armenians. The spiritual educational institution trains future ministers of the church. Initially, the seminary was located in an auxiliary building, built at the end of the 19th century. It was subsequently reopened in 1990. Several dozen people can study here at the same time. Lake Sevan legends. Some researchers believe that the origin of the name of the lake should be attributed to the 9th to 6th centuries BC. In those days it sounded like Sunia and meant only lake. There are a number of legends about the origin of the name of Lake Sevan. One of them says that once the tribes living around Lake Van, which is located in Turkey, went into exile, went a tedious journey and eventually settled near an unnamed lake. For the local harsher climate, the lake was nicknamed Black Van, which literally sounded like Savon. There is a beautiful legend about the origin of the lake. On the site of the lake in the old days there were lush gardens, fertile arable land, flowering meadows. Near the hill, outside the village, a strong spring was beating. The water pressure in it was so great that it had to be closed with a special huge plug. But one day a frivolous girl, having taken water from a spring, forgot to plug the spring. The water rushing in a powerful stream flooded everything around. Fleeing from the water element, people in their hearts put a curse on the girl, who caused the misfortune. And she turned to stone. And the water was coming in every hour. And soon a lake was formed at this place, which was named Savon. But where did the other name come from, the Geghama Sea? This was the name of Savon by the Armenians who lived in these places in ancient times. The fact is that for Armenia, which is not very large, the lake, which occupies almost a tenth of the country's area, can in fact be considered a sea. In ancient times, Savon was located within one of the ancient Armenian provinces. In the local dialect it was called the Helam, otherwise Geghama, sea. There is historical evidence that the Armenian ruler Ashot the Iron defeated the Arab army on the shores of the lake in 921. This battle, which made it possible to clear the Armenian land of warlike foreigners, went down in history as the Battle of Savon. Beauty of the Geghama Sea. The surroundings of Savon are distinguished by a very pleasant climate. Even if there is unbearable heat in the valley, it is always fresh and cool at the height of the water surface. The coastline of the lake is picturesque. There are also slopes covered with dense forest. There are also stone cliffs. Mountain steppe areas turn into bright meadows. Wild pebble beaches attract numerous tourists. Fluffy clouds hang over all this natural splendor. They seem to cling to the tops of the mountains, which are covered with snow at almost any time. Around the lake there is a protected national park zone. The harsh beauty of the Geghama Sea will be remembered for a long time by those who decided to visit these unique places. Numerous architectural monuments give a special charm to Savon. They are made in the memorable style of the Armenian culture of architecture. Savon as a source of valuable resources. The Geghama Sea is considered the only source of fresh water in the region. The Armenian authorities have long raised the issue of the rational use of this unique water body, which has no analogues within the Caucasus. Back in the 19th century, the issue of using the waters of Savon for irrigating fertile lands along the Hrazdan River was being resolved. Half a century later, there were proposals for the use of lake waters for other practical needs. It was even proposed to lower the water level in Savon. Scientists have calculated that a significant part of the total volume of water evaporates in vain. The area of the lake is very large, and therefore resources simply disappear. There was also a project according to which the depth of the lake should have been reduced by 40 meters. The freed-up water resources could be used to generate electricity and irrigate the Ararat Plain. Already in Soviet times, plans were adopted for the economic use of the waters of Savon. To assess the national economic significance of the reservoir, a special commission of the USSR Academy of Sciences was created, which worked from 1926 to 1930. A year later, the first practical scheme for lowering the water level in the lake was considered. In 1933, the project was approved. Planned work began on the formation of flow paths and the expansion of the Hrazdan River bed. Intensive use of Savon water resources began in 1937. An irrigation and energy complex has appeared in this region. Its creation served as a powerful impetus for the development of the republic's economy. However, later it turned out that an increase in wastewater discharge, combined with a decrease in the level of the water surface, negatively affects the biological diversity of ecosystems. There were signs of blooming of water, which threatened to deteriorate its quality. Such water became unusable not only for food, but also for household use. For these reasons, at the end of the 50s, it was decided to revise the projects for the development of water resources in Savon. Thanks for watching.